Good morning, friends. Let's celebrate by singing a song together, shall we? We laugh, we cry. It's hymn number 354 in the gray hymn book. If you're joining us online, you can find the lyrics posted in the chat. And we're only going to sing the first and the fourth verse, if you're following in the old-fashioned way out of a hymn book, which I strongly support. But if you're following the screen, you don't have to worry because those are the two verses that will come up. I invite you to rise in body and our spirit, and let's sing together. We laugh, we cry, we live, we die, we dance, we sing a song. We need to feel there's something here that which we can belong. We need to feel the freedom just to have some time alone. But most of all, we need close friends we can call our very own. And we believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have found a need to be together. We have our hearts to give. We have our thoughts to receive. And we believe that sharing is an answer. We seek elusive answers to the questions of this life. We seek to put an end to all the waste of human strife. We search for truth, equality, and blessed peace of mind. But then we come together here to make sense of what we find. And we believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have found a joy being together. And in our search for peace, may we will finally see, even to question truly is an answer. Thank you for singing.
Good morning. Welcome. Welcome to the Olympia Unitarian Universalist Congregation. Our community envisions an interconnected world that is loving, just, and healthy. We commit to live out our mission to welcome and wonder, embrace and empower, bridge and become. Thank you for joining us today. We're so glad you are here. My name is Reverend Sarah. I use she, her pronouns. I am the Director of Community and Faith Development. I am a middle-aged white woman with short brown curly hair, today wearing a purple dress with owls on it. Leading worship with me today is Reverend Linda Hart and Troy Fisher, our music director. Reverend Linda Hart is in the early stages of retirement from Unitarian Universalist ministry. Ordained for 41 years, she has worked with homeless teens and served congregations in Woodstock, Vermont, Spokane, London, England, Marysville, Tacoma, and Port Townsend. She and her husband, Peter, are returning to OUUC and look forward to being part of the congregation. Welcome back. You are welcome here just as you are. Whatever beliefs sustain you, whomever you love, however you understand and express your identity, and in all the ways that you are becoming the person that you will be. Here's a few things that you should know about our service today. We are streaming live on Zoom and YouTube, and the service is being recorded. Turn around and wave at our online Zoom people. For those here in the sanctuary, you can see the sometimes creative subtitles on the screen in front and on Zoom for those online. Over here, we have soft chairs and activities for your hands so everyone can be comfortable. We are a multi-generational community that welcomes people of all ages in the sanctuary. There is also nursery care and a children's program in the classroom wing just down there. Please be where you are most comfortable. We are grateful for the many hands that help make worship happen this morning. Thank you to all who contribute in so many ways. After the service, everyone will have the chance to discuss reflection questions offered by Reverend Linda. For those online, we invite you to go into a breakout room for a virtual coffee chat. And for those in person, please feel free to stay for coffee and fellowship in the Commons. Also, all on site are welcome to join me at 12:15 today in the Commons to write postcards for the No One Deserves to Go Hungry project. As you know, there are many things happening at OUUC. Check out the Tuesday electronic update or the website for the most up-to-date information. Now, let us open our hearts and minds as we prepare for worship. It is good to be together.
Good morning. What a pleasure to be here with all of you, you all online and you here in the room. I'm Linda Hart. I use she, her pronouns. I'm an old white woman with short cropped graying hair and glasses, and I'm wearing a red, black, and white patterned dress. This morning, we join with Unitarian Universalist congregations around the world in lighting a chalice, the symbol of our faith. And I share these words by William Graves to light our chalice. We light this chalice in deep respect for the mystery and holiness of life, and honor and gratitude for those who have gone before, with love and compassion for those who dwell among us, and with hope and faith for the generations to come. And our opening words by my colleague, Andy Pakula. Come into this circle of community. Come into this sacred space. Be not tentative. Bring your whole self. Bring the joy that makes your heart sing. Bring the kindness and your compassion. Also bring your sorrow, your pain. Bring your brokenness and your disappointments. Spirit of love and mystery, help us to recognize the spark of the divine that resides within each of us. May we know the joy of wholeness. May we know the joy of being together this day. Come, let us worship together.
And let's sing together again out of the great hymnal, hymn number 128, For All That Is Our Life. I invite you to rise. Let's sing together.
was a pretty happy kid. Things were pretty good. But there was one thing that was making Pat feel kind of nervous right now. Pat's parents had signed Pat up for a class at their Unitarian Universalist congregation called Our Whole Lives. And Pat was kind of nervous. This was a class that was going to be about relationships and bodies and sex. Pat was kind of shy. What if it was really uncomfortable talking about that at church? Okay, so now in our story, I'm going to pause and I'm going to ask you to notice what kind of kid you're thinking of when I say Pat. Are you thinking of a boy or a girl? Are you thinking of a non-binary or gender expansive or gender spicy kid? And why does it matter what kinds of kids we see in stories and hear about? Now, Pat's parents reassured Pat. It was all going to be okay. Why, yes, it might be uncomfortable, but they had done their research and they had gone to the parent orientation, and they reassured Pat that the teachers were really nice people and they were going to listen and answer questions, and it was going to be fun, and Pat was going to learn really important things about how to take care of himself and others. And, maybe after the first class, they could all go out and get some ice cream afterward. Now, what kind of parents are you picturing for Pat? Does it pop into your head a mom and a dad? Or two dads, two moms? Adoptive parents, foster parents, step parents? Do you only see two parents in your mind? Or do you see a co-parenting team of 3 or more people? And why does it matter what kinds of families we see in the stories that we hear? Well, back to our story, which is actually a very simple story. It turned out that the whole thing was everything that Pat had said and everything that their parents had said. It was uncomfortable. It was kind of hard. And it was fun. The teachers were nice. They answered all of Pat's questions and other kids' questions. And most of the kids were nice, and Pat made friends and learned really important things. Learned about all kinds of people, all kinds of love, all kinds of families. Pat was really happy in the end to be an Our Whole Lives OWL grad. Now, a couple weeks ago, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that parents can opt their kids out of lessons in elementary school that have stories or picture books with LGBTQ characters, children, or families. And in response to that, UU minister Sean Neil Barron wrote online, "The U.S. Supreme Court just ruled that my existence is too dangerous for elementary school." And another UU minister, Hannah Roberts Villeneuve, wrote this that I want to read to you today. "The Supreme Court says that you can opt your kid out of knowing that my family exists. That you can opt your kid out of cognitive dissonance between reality and belief. LOL, good luck. But as a parent, I think a lot more about what we're opting our kids into. What we're trying to make sure is in their lives so that they can learn to love this world, both as it is and as it could be, the hard way. The hard way is the only way I regret to admit. We're opting into a church community that loves them thoroughly, but also knows they need help growing and remembering to use walking feet during coffee hour. We're opting them into friends whose parents have open doors and open hearts. We're opting them into a network of queer grown-ups that is so vast and varied and normalized, I'm pretty sure my kids are bored by it. We're opting them into a world where disagreement is not disrespect, but that we've got to put in the work to make that true. We're opting them into love and knowing that sometimes what love asks will make us feel uncomfortable, out of control, and on the edge. So go ahead, opt your kid out of knowing that my family exists. We'll be over here opting in because that's what my religious beliefs demand. This is what our whole lives does. This is what our Unitarian Universalist congregations do. And may they continue to do this important work. May it be so. Each Sunday, we engage in the spiritual practices of generosity and gratitude by joining together in service to our community and to something greater than ourselves. We each have the power to share, and when we combine our gifts to create an offering, together we are able to do more than any of us can do alone. We also express our gratitude for the gifts that life has given us, for the network of relationships in which we live, and for the presence of this community. If you are new or visiting us for the first or second time, you are our guest, and we do not expect you to contribute. However, if you are moved to be part of our offering, what you share will be most gratefully received. The offering here collected does two things. It helps support the ongoing work of this congregation, which is also supported by our regular pledges. And this offering supports an organization that serves our community in harmony with our Unitarian Universalist values. Our Share the Plate organization for July and August is the Growing Home Collective of Garden Raised Bounty, also known as GRUB. This is what they share about their work.
Good morning, Olympia UU congregation. I'm Carenza Mabwa, the program manager for GRUB's Growing Home Collective, and this program grew out of a series of Black community listening sessions in 2021 on how GRUB could better support the Black community around foodways, food history, cultural, and land. And as an affinity program led by an all-Black advisory group, the programming is by, for, and with the Black community. Participants get to experience the gift of connection and to relax and be fully present in the richness of cultural knowledge and skill sharing. We consider this a wellness antidote to the assimilation, minimization, and erasure that's often experienced living in the dominant culture. And impacts of oppression and white supremacist redlining practices are still present. This is a sacred space that we create where we're normalizing shared lived experience and expertise. Participants are Black members, alumni of GRUB's programs, partner organizations, and various resource networks we're growing locally and regionally. So from foraging wild plants to making herbal medicine and cooking, remembering ancestral foodways, celebrations, we grow food on the farm. Families and elders, individuals get to join in building power and leadership and healing their relationship to the land and food, as well as reclaiming untold contributions that Black folks have made to all of our story. So stories. Sometimes we hear Black people say they never knew how much they needed this kind of space until they arrived. Some children who've always been a minority in school look around and say, everyone is Black and they're beautiful. Kiddos get to pick and learn cooking and eat fresh herbs and veggies. And people realize they have skills to share and join us. So how can you help? Some of you attended our Juneteenth celebration. That's our one public celebration for all. And we threw down a soul food feast you don't want to miss next year. Please consider doing outreach or volunteering for it. Donate. Your gifts will go to our workshop costs and honorariums for the advisory group and guest presenters. Thank you.
May the offering now be generously given as it is gratefully received.
I am love, I am worthy and abundant, I am holy, I am peaceful and awakened, I am whole, I am power and compassion, I am consciousness in action, sometimes awkward, sometimes tender, form and foreless, beyond gender. I am everything. I am nothing. I am whole. 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 If you want to know for certain who I am, take a look behind this curtain to find the one behind this mystery. All the names and all the labels try to scoop the ocean in a ladle, when all we really want is to swim free. I am whole. 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 I am whole.
Thank you for your generosity in all the ways that you share your gifts. This morning, we do what humans have done for all of our existence. We gather in times of worry and anxiety and in times of celebration and joy. We come into our community bringing all that is on our minds and in our hearts. Let's open our hearts to the complexity of life as we place stones in the water of community. You will hear a drum beat. Allow its resonance into your body. It is the heartbeat of life, the heartbeat of community. So right now, I invite you to take a deep breath. Feel the air in your body. Feel the earth beneath us. Feel the warmth of connection. This morning, we send our love and care to the family of Patrick Smith, who died on June 20th at the age of 85. Pat and his wife, Joanne, have not been around on site at OUUC much since the pandemic, but joined us for online services regularly. Pat died with his loving family around him, and they will hold a private ceremony to honor his life near their family cabin. Joanne, know that you and your family are held in the love of this community as you mourn Pat's passing. Pat, may you be at peace. And a moment of mourning and grief for the passage of a harmful budget bill in our U.S. Congress. This bill takes away from those in need and gives to the ultra-rich, and is against our values of equity, interdependence, generosity, and liberatory love. Our hearts break, and may love lead the way to something better than this. Let's open our circle wide. For those on Zoom, I invite you to share from your heart by entering in the chat. Those in the sanctuary can see your sharing on the screen, and it is shared with Reverend Mary and the pastoral care team. For those in person today, we invite you to come forward if there's something that you would like to bring into this community. You may place a stone into the water as you hold your sharing in your heart. Let us hear the heartbeat of our community and reach out our hearts in love and care to all those who share. We place a stone in the water for all that has been shared online, shared from the heart, and one more for all that we hold in our hearts and that remains unspoken. As we hold together all that has been shared, may you feel yourself witnessed, may you know yourself beloved.
And let us continue on in this spirit of stillness and meditation and prayer. Let us pause in gratitude for the wholeness of our lives, for the breath we draw, gift of life, blood that flows and hearts that beat, for the life of the mind, the intricacies of thought, the pleasures of reasoning, the joy of communication to allow us connection, for the power of love, which opens us to others, makes possible friendship and intimacy in all its many guises, for the gift of our bodies in all their beauty and grace, thankful for the power of human touch, the power of bodies to infuse all that is our life with creativity, intensity, and power. For all that is our lives, we raise up our words of thanks here in the stillness of our gathering. Let us pause and breathe together.
I invite you to remain seated and let's sing together hymn number 313.
The first reading today is The Thief by the poet Dorianne Lux. What is it when your man sits on the floor in sweatpants, his latest project set out in front of him like a small world, maps and photographs and diagrams and plans and everything he hopes to build, invent, or create? And you believe in him, as you always have, even after the failures, even more now as you set your coffee down and move toward him where he sits oblivious of you, concentrating in a square of sun. You step over the rulers and the blue graph paper to squat behind him, and he barely notices, though you're still in your robe, which falls open a little as you reach around his chest and feel the slow beat of his heart, your ear pressed to his back to listen. You are torn, not wanting to interrupt his work, but unable to keep your fingers from dipping into his pants, torn again with tenderness. You slip your tongue into his ear, and he hears you, calling him away from his work, the angled lines of his thought into that shapeless place where you are bound to take him, over bridges of bone, beyond borders of skin, climbing over him into the world of the body, its labyrinth of ladders and stairs. And you love him, like the first time you loved him, with equal measures of expectancy and fear and awe, taking him with you into the soft geometry of the flesh, the earth before its sidewalks and cities, its glistening spires, stealing him back from the world that he loves into this other world that he cannot build without you.
Our second reading is an excerpt from Sexual Fidelity by Carter Hayward, a feminist theologian and Episcopal priest. If, as I have suggested, creation, liberation, and blessing is, at heart, a matter of making, saving, and celebrating right relation or justice, then to be sexually faithful is to experience and express ourselves relationally in such a way that both we and others are empowered and empowering as co-creators, liberators, and bearers of blessing to one another and to the world. To be faithful lovers is to touch and be touched, whether physically or otherwise, with a depth and quality of tenderness that actually helps to create life where there is death, comfort where there is despair. To be faithful in our sexualities is to live a commitment to mutual, reciprocal relations between and among ourselves, in which no one owns, possesses, dominates, or controls the other, but rather in which the lover participates with the beloved in living together in a home, a society, and/or a world in which each gives and receives. Sexual fidelity presupposes, I believe, that our sexual organs, like our other organs, limbs, and cells, are part of the whole of who each of us is, and as such, share the responsibility and delight of making right relation, the opportunity to make love.
I'll say it's a pleasure to be back here in the sanctuary of OUUC and to see familiar faces and look forward to meeting some new folks who have come since my husband and I have been away and back and away and back and away and back finally. In 1998, the Unitarian Universalist Association was in the midst of developing a new sexuality curriculum, the one that we've heard about already, Our Whole Lives. The previous curriculum had launched back in the 1970s, and it was called About Your Sexuality. It was one of the first comprehensive programs for teens to teach them all about sex. Over nearly 30 years, what our youth needed to know had changed, and our understanding of how to teach about sex had broadened and deepened. So a new curriculum was going to come out, and at the time, I was serving as the minister of the UU Church in Spokane, and they announced from the UUA that there was going to be a contest, a sermon contest, for the best sermon to introduce this new curriculum. And the religious educator there, Aaron, and I teamed up to enter the contest, and we won. I was a little startled. The prize was about $500, and we used the money to first go see Maya Angelou, who was speaking in town, and neither one of us had the money to do that. And then to fly Aaron down to the General Assembly in Salt Lake City, where we would get to offer the sermon again in a workshop there. And so about a month ago, when I heard that it was time to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the Our Whole Lives program, I poked around on my computer to see if I could find the text of the sermon, if it might still be there somewhere, and by golly, it was. And then rereading it, I was reminded about how essential sexuality education is, and not just for teens. You may not know that the OWL program actually runs from kindergarten up through older adults. And the older adult curriculum is a recent addition, isn't it? Yeah, recent addition. I was so excited. I was like, wow, we get to do it again. Yay. Anyhow, so it's a broad range. So what I'm offering today is a version of that sermon that I wrote way back when, and it still sounds still a sound message to get. So back in 1998, I was on the board of Planned Parenthood in Spokane, and at a board retreat, our community educator led the board members who were there on a typical training that she offered in schools. The first part of that training was to see a slideshow and to hear about genital viruses. It was, as you might expect, not a particularly pleasant topic. And the pictures were pretty gruesome too, full color. Cheryl Lynn told us as we groaned and hid our eyes from the explicit pictures, she mentioned that we were like most groups who saw that, what most groups did when they saw those pictures, when they offered that particular unit. Often, she said, in schools, kids would come up to her afterwards and tell her that they planned never to have sex if this was a possible outcome. And having seen it, I understand that choice. The slides, though, were a lead-in to the real training that she wanted to offer, which was safer sex practices. Beginning, as they always do, that by noting that the only way to be absolutely sure you can't get pregnant or get any of the many diseases and viruses that are out there is to be abstinent. She then began passing around various implements that could be used to have safer sex. She held up dental dams and saran wrap and latex gloves, condoms of every color and texture you could imagine, and a few that you might not. Then came the really fun part. She pulled out 2 wooden forms, plopped them down on the table, and let us know that we would have a lesson in how to put a condom on. You have to picture this. This group is mostly middle-aged and mostly older in that category, women, and then there are 2 men in the room. We are in the home of we're in a luxurious home on the South Hill of Spokane, the very posh neighborhood. And Cheryl Lynn wants volunteers to put condoms on penis forms. It was a moment, friends, I have to tell you, it was a moment. So finally, two volunteers came forward, one a woman with grandchildren, I believe, at that time, and a man in his 30s. The whole event was accompanied by laughter and that discomfort and, surprise. The woman who had agreed to do it said that she had never in her life touched a condom. And Sherilyn then began to lead them and us through what the routine was. Check the air bubble in the package, make sure that it hasn't come unsealed. Then pull the condom away from the edge of the packet where you're going to tear it out, and then take the condom, set it on, roll it down, and then make sure all the air is out of it. Did y'all know how to do that? Right? Anybody learning something this morning, I hope? We all shifted in our seats. We giggled nervously. We understood again how teenagers feel when they are talking about sex. And it's a Pandora's box, isn't it? A subject that is so fraught with discomfort and easy misunderstandings and offense taken. While it's possible to learn how to be more comfortable with conversations about sex, it is often an uncomfortable subject, and many of us have never learned how to speak about it without having a joke or two thrown in. Many of us never learn how to be just straightforward about it. And there's a good reason for that. Sex is the most private and intimate we ever get with another human being. It's where we are, or perhaps should be, at our most vulnerable, naked in every sense of the word. Carter Hayward says it well: to be faithful lovers is to touch and be touched, whether physically or otherwise, with a depth and quality of tenderness that actually helps create life where there is death, comfort where there is despair. It is intimate, private, deeply powerful, life-giving, if done right, to create the right relation, death-bringing when it is an abuse of power or an expression of violence. It has so much power that it is difficult to speak about, especially to our children. And it is absolutely necessary for us to speak to our children. It is necessary because sex has become so dangerous, and the lives of our children depend more than ever than they have on our ability to share information with them accurately and without judgment, to share the wisdom of our own experiences, and to help them understand, as well as they possibly can, the beauty and power of sexual intimacy. It is our role to help them understand the gift of their bodies, of their love, of their intimacy, and to know how to give that gift in wholeness to another. It is so necessary too, because sex has become so very dangerous, and it is impossible for us to know who among us might be at risk and endangered by reckless behavior. We need to remind one another of the importance of right relations with each other. We need to be reminded of the gift of ourself and our deepest privacy that is ours to share with a beloved. Because it's too easy to forget in our world that is saturated with cheap and easy sex how precious it is, how important it is. It is necessary for us to be talking about sex because this is a home for all that is precious and worthy, for all that is filled with love and loveliness. Surely, the passionate intimacy of sex needs to be spoken in a home such as this. I love Dorianne Lux's description of what happens between two lovers as they move toward one another. They go into that shapeless place where you are bound to take him over bridges of bone, beyond borders of skin, climbing over him into the world of the body, its labyrinth of ladders and stairs. And you love him like the first time you loved him, with equal measures of expectancy and fear and awe, taking him with you into the soft geometry of the flesh, the earth before its sidewalks and cities, its glistening spires, stealing him back from the world he loves into the world he cannot build without you. It is necessary for us to speak of loving and bodies and of tenderness and the intimate means of creating life where there only is death, and comfort that comes from what is despair. This dimension of our lives has such power for both good and destruction. Carter Hayward reminds us that our whole bodies are a part of the making of justice and of right relations in the world. Just so this new curriculum, that's not so new anymore, but this new curriculum reminds us that sexuality is a part of the whole of our lives, from the time we are very small through our growing and discovering and on into our maturity and into our elder years. Just as we will never be finished with our search for truth and meaning in the world, if we're doing it right, wherever in a process of discovery of all the facets of being ourselves as human beings, as relational beings, as sexual beings. So just to give you a little taste of what can come from this work, here's a picture from a bigger piece of work created by a child in one of the congregations I've served. With his permission, I share this one small corner of his bigger presentation. This is a kindergartner and what he learned. It says, it starts with love, and then conception, and then the men's sperm travels to the uterus, and then it makes an egg, and then a pregnancy starts, and then there is labor, and then birth happens, and then there is joy. Is that the sweetest thing ever? I mean, to learn that, to know that as a 5-year-old, and then there is joy. More than only being a part of our lives throughout the days we live, I believe our sexual beings and our connection to the erotic can fuel creativity, passion, and intensity in our lives. Audre Lorde speaks to this most beautifully, I think. She writes, "During World War II, we bought sealed plastic packets of white uncolored margarine with a tiny intense pellet of yellow coloring perched like a topaz just inside the skin of the brain." I see nodding heads. Anybody else remember this? A few of us, yeah? We would leave the margarine out for a while to soften, and then we would pinch the little pellet to break it inside the bag, releasing its rich yellowness into the soft pale mass of margarine. Then, taking it carefully between our fingers, we would knead it gently back and forth over and over until the color spread throughout the whole pound bag of margarine, thoroughly coloring it. She goes on to say, "I find the erotic such a kernel within myself. When released from its intense and constrained pellet, it flows through and colors my life with a kind of energy that heightens and sensitizes and strengthens all my experiences." Living in wholeness, living fully and deeply, means that we can touch and experience and use the fullness of our beings, our intellect and the powers of reason, our feelings and tenderness, our love and compassion and care, the power of our hearts, the wisdom of our experience in the world, a sense of justice, and the passion of our sexual selves too. To live with integrity, to live wholly, means finding ways to allow all that we have and all that we are as human beings to be incorporated each day, each moment. Living in wholeness means keeping before us that image of integrity and working bit by bit, day by day, to make it ever more real and true, ever more fully present in our lives. I invite you now to take a few moments in quiet reflection together.
Let's sing a closing hymn together. Hymn number 300 out of the Gray Hymnal, With Heart and Mind. I invite you to rise and lie in the Spirit.
Our chalice with the words of Madi Sifantus. We extinguish this flame, but we keep its light in our hearts, with its message of love and justice, taking it outside these walls to the world we live in until we are together again. May you go with joy, may you go with commitment, and go with love. So may it be. Amen.